As President Trump prepares to declare the situation at the southern border a national emergency, Democrats are refuting the need for a wall and calling for more advanced solutions. The spending bill passed by Congress yesterday includes $100 million for security technology. That money will go towards remote surveillance and towers equipped with radar and cameras. But while companies and politicians look for high-tech answers to illegal border crossings, some say that approach has its own set of problems. So Connie Guglielmo is the editor-in-chief of CNET News, and she's here to talk a little bit about that. So this is very interesting because this is sort of the debate between the Republicans and the Democrats. And, you know, the Democrats have said for a while, we don't need a physical border wall. We have all this advanced technology. But what sort of technology are they talking about? What's being used now and what could be used in the future?
Yeah, right now you have a lot of cameras deployed at the border, as you would expect. You have things that you might have in your home, motion sensors, right? You're looking to detect motion and movement and track where movement is happening across the border.
Right.
You have drones that are being deployed, and people are looking for more drones that can do aerial surveillance, so you don't have to have people physically patrolling the border, but you can send out these remote sensing with infrared cameras to try to detect the difference between a person and maybe a coyote or a rabbit at the border. So there are some technologies that are already being deployed. The Democrats have said that they want to build a virtual or smart wall.
Yeah, right. I've heard that phrase. What does that mean?
It means using a lot of technology to supplement physical barriers. Now, no one solution is great. And we should talk about technology is a means to an end. It's not an end. So what are we trying to do? And if you're saying we want to have a way to surveil the entire nearly 2,000-mile border, right? You're going to have some technology that will work. You'll have some physical barriers where it makes sense. So there's not actually one simple solution. But if you can use smart tech in a way that saves time and resources and is a smarter deployment than building a 30-foot steel or concrete barrier, you know, that might be less intrusive, potentially, but there are issues, right? You still have to put these sensors up on land that might not be government owned. You might have to put towers up on places. This stuff doesn't run by air or solar. There's a lot of battery tech, and you need electricity. If you've got people in trucks with huge camera arrays on them, we're talking about like kind of the booms that you see in movies, which are 30 feet high into the sky. I mean, that's going to have wear and tear on the environment as well. So technology is a means to a part of the solution, not the sole solution. There is $100 million that is being allocated for that. But again, it's a system. When you're collecting data, now you have to analyze that data. We look at AI.
Well, you know, I thought it was pretty, you know, what the president has often said about the smart wall idea is basically, you know, what are a bunch of cameras going to do when there's nobody there to physically stop someone from crossing the border? So there are limitations to this sort of technology. You identify the fact that there's also sort of a cost, too. It has to be maintained. But what's the problem? What are the problems with this kind of, depending more on technology than the physical barrier?
Well, the biggest problem that we're hearing about is that we're entering this era of an even more surveillance kind of state, where if you're collecting facial recognition technology and I'm identifying you or capturing all of your license plate data within 100 miles of the border, and I am capturing, you know, all sorts of biometric data possibly so that I can identify you later after you enter the country, privacy becomes a big issue.
That's what the ACLU has been complaining about. And you said within 100 miles of the border?
Potentially.
So that means they could collect data, not necessarily from people who are crossing the border, just sort of regular Americans going about their business.
Yeah, they absolutely have to start collecting data, and they have to make guesses about who might be a problem. And that's where you get into concerns about racial profiling and other kinds of profiling. So data collection is as much a problem here and is as big a part of the solution as actually deploying a flying drone or setting up cameras or building a wall. All of that needs information behind it so you can make smart choices and decisions. We're talking about a 2,000-mile border, you're not going to want to monitor all of that all the time.
Right.
So you need to collect data on where you do want to monitor it, where it makes sense, and then use that drone technology or camera technology maybe to supplement that. But underlying that is data. Data means privacy concerns. We know that not everyone, including the government, is really great at securing all of your data. So if they're collecting all that data about you, what are the chances that it could be co-opted or get out there, or you might end up in a system that you didn't think you belonged in? What if you were suddenly denied the right to flight because you ended up flagged on a list, even by mistake? What is that like to unravel? These are the questions that people have concerns about.
These are all really, really good questions. Connie, thank you so much.
My pleasure.